Hi, I'm Joanne Lee Cornish, body composition coach and slightly obsessed with being an outlier in midlife and beyond. I offer one-on-one coaching. I have 7 group coaching programs that I run throughout the year, and I also have a 10-month mentorship program. You can find out all about those and a lot more at my website, joannelee.com. Okay, let's get on with this podcast. Hello. Welcome to Midlife Mayhem. Today, a topic I was actually asked for by a couple of people, and that's probably because I go on about it quite a lot, and that is red light therapy. My training clients often use my red light bed. I absolutely swear by it. Kevin uses it even more than me, probably. He probably uses it every day, to be honest. I probably use it at least 4 or 5 times a week. So what is the deal with red light? How does it work? And why not all things are the same? It's one of those things that everybody's heard it's good for you. But when you ask why or how or which device actually makes sense, people can't really explain it. And lately I've been getting a lot of questions about, is the face mask as good as the bed? What about the mats? What do those power numbers mean? Why is there a $99 option on Amazon and you're telling me to buy a $3,000 bed? What's the other one? Is red light the same as infrared? Is it like a sauna? So let's just slow the roll and talk about this. Let me tell you how first we got into it. So Kevin had a crazy emergency surgery, and I'm going to tell you the story about that. We're pretty close by now, right? Kevin had been sick for a while. Let me just say, to be kind, misdiagnosed by a doctor. I use the term doctor loosely. Anyway, it turned out he had colon cancer. And so we found out, and we were waiting to make an appointment we were waiting for an appointment to get to talk to the surgeon, and then we would meet with the surgeon, and then obviously he would give us a surgery date. And Kevin was in a lot of pain. He was suffering a lot. So I wake up one morning, get this, I wake up, so this is a guy that really doesn't do much by himself. I used to go to the dentist with him, and we do everything together, and we love it. But yeah, I wake up one morning, and Kevin's not in bed, and I get up pretty early. And I get out of bed, and I'm like, and there's a note saying, there's a text saying going into surgery. And I'm like, it's 4:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what? Put my glasses on, going into surgery. I look across the bed, he's not there. I'm like, the typical guy doesn't tell me, was there an emergency during that? Or which hospital would have been quite a nice little note to put on that text? But anyway, the joke is that I had to cancel some clients that morning. And that is that I think there's only twice. I've lived here 8 years. I've only ever cancelled on anybody twice. And that was one of the reasons, because I had to go find my husband. Anyway, it turned out he didn't want to wait. Kevin's not the most patient guy. No secret. He looks all cool and chill and everything, but he's not a really patient guy. And he was thinking, he's in some pain. He's thinking he's going to wait for this doctor's appointment. And then the surgeon's then going to give him a surgery date. You know what? Let me just speed this up a little bit. So he just went straight to emergency. I think he ate a bunch of food that he knew was going to make him ill. And then he went to emergency. So getting back to the story, but because he went to emergency and didn't wait for the scheduled surgery, they did emergency surgery on him. And they sliced him right up the middle. Just sliced him right up the middle. I feel like if he'd have waited, he would have probably had 3 little scars. Instead, he had a whopping great scar all the way top to bottom. And did the trick, and everything worked out fine, by the way. Completely clear. They got the whole thing. No further treatment needed. Nothing. Totally, by the grace of God, everything. He couldn't have had a more perfect result. It would be not happening in the first place, but everything was absolutely fine. But he was left with a massive scar, right? Massive scar, pretty thick. And I said, red light really helps with scars. I'm thinking, oh, again, a little red light panel. Oh, no, not Kevin. He goes and spends like $3,000 on this red light bed. And I'm mad at him. You just did what? You were always all in. You can't just get something little. You had to get the big one, blah, blah, blah. But I was wrong and he was right. And it's been just about the best invention, best investment we've ever made. And quite frankly, I'd happily pay double because we both swear by this. Now, he has no scar from that. But that's originally why we got the red light bed. How does, so you'll see different types of red light therapy. And so let's talk about how it actually works biologically, why the depth really does matter. And there are different devices that do different things. So what can you realistically expect? Because red light therapy works. We use it for a scar, but it's far more than that. How well it works it depends entirely on which device you purchase and what you're hoping it does. So red light therapy falls under something called photobiomodulation. Photobiomodulation simply means using specific wavelengths of light to influence biological processes. So this is not heat, it's not UV, it's not tanning or anything like that. It's light in very specific wavelengths, primarily red, which is about 630 to 660 nanometers, and near infrared, which is around 810 to 880 nanometers. So the near infrared is deeper. These wavelengths interact with something extremely important, and that is the mitochondria. Now, don't even get me started on mitochondria. I feel like I've done about 17 podcasts on it. Mitochondria, the batteries within your cell, they make energy. All right. If you can make the mitochondria work better, you're going to have more energy, cellular energy. So the energy I'm talking about here is ATP. That is the energy system of our bodies. And that ATP is it's the fuel that drives healing, it's a repair, and of course, function of everything you do, from your thoughts to blinking to your heart, your kidneys, the fuel of your existence, and your mitochondria makes that. So near infrared and red light interact with an enzyme in the mitochondria called cytochrome C oxidase. So the lights interact with an enzyme in the mitochondria. Now, this is described in literature, including there was a really large review by researchers like Michael Hamblin, if you know who he is. So when these wavelengths hit this cell, they displace nitric oxide that's inhibiting respiration. The electron transport improves. So the electron transport system is, think about you taking food and you're making energy out of it. And that's that's simplifying the electron transport. ATP, the energy of our body increases. Oxidative stress decreases. Go back a few podcasts if you want to know what oxidative stress is. Look for the one on cellular health. And inflammation is reduced. So nitric oxide is displaced, electron transport improves, so the conversion food to energy, and ATP, the energy of our body, increases. Inflammation is greatly reduced. And so this isn't like theoretical. These effects have been demonstrated repeatedly in cellular animals and in human studies. So this explains why red light therapy affects skin, muscle, joints, nerves, brain, sleep, oh my gosh, and mood. That's an interesting one. So this is like cellular physiology. Red light, near infrared light, and infrared saunas. A lot of confusion in this. So remember, we've got the red light. The red light is 630 to 660. Red light primarily affects the superficial tissues. So red light for skin, awesome. So it improves collagen synthesis, it enhances wound healing. It definitely supports skin repair. And that was our experience with Kevin. There were studies in dermatology journals have shown increased fibroblast activity and collagen production with red light exposure. And this is why the very popular facial masks are great. They work for the skin. Things like post-procedure healing would improve with the use of red light. Fine lines and texture can definitely change over time with red light. And again, the red light is 630 to 660 nanometers. So then we have the near infrared light, 810 to 880 nanometers. So near infrared is where things get deeper, literally deeper. So the near infrared wavelengths penetrates much farther into the tissues. Studies measuring light penetration show that longer wavelengths reach muscle, they reach joints, nerves, and they even reach bone. And this is why the near infrared is associated with reduced muscle pain, faster recovery, nervous system effects, improvements in sleep and mood. Super interesting. A little tip here. If you do get the big panels, I think I was about 6 foot long, 2 panels, you can get them to stand up and you just stand in front of them. Let me tell you something. So they increase melatonin, so you sleep like a rock. So last thing I would do is get a standing one because I'm just going to be in a crumpled heap on the floor. So and I'll put a link to the one that we got, but the standing ones, I guess you could. What we did is we got the panels and it came with a frame and we have it actually hanging over a massage table. So we can, because you sleep like a log, like the deepest, drooly sleep. And also affecting the dopamine. So I'm always in a really good mood when I do red light. That's why I try to do it most days. Anyway, so what did I say? That's near infrared light. Reduced muscle pain, fast recovery, improved sleep and mood for sure. So there were studies on neuromuscular and pain, and near infrared consistently outperforms red light alone. Remember, red light is not as deep. And it's not because it's stronger, it's because it reaches the tissue that actually hurts. Remember, the red light alone is superficial. Great for your skin. Wear those masks. All good. And then you have the infrared saunas. So this is very different. So the infrared saunas use far infrared heat, not photo biomodulation. So they work through thermal stress, circulation, sweating, and heat adaptation. So they're great. Absolutely great. Not quite doing the same thing as red or near infrared light on a mitochondrial level. So you've got red light, near infrared, you've got cellular signaling. You've got the saunas, which is more heat and stress. Now, I know some of the saunas do combine the lights as well, so there is that. But the most important concept really to get your head around on this is the depth determines the outcome. A face mask can absolutely help your skin because the skin is superficial, but what it cannot do is, or even what it can't do, or what an infrared panel can do, it's not going to work on muscles, it's not going to work on joints, it's not going to work on systemic inflammation or the nervous system. The light penetration increases with wavelength, which is why the near infrared is required for deeper tissues. Studies measuring tissue penetration and pain outcome consistently show better results with deeper wavelengths when they are used. Now, I see people that will use they'll use a face mask, the red light face mask, and they'll put it on their knees because the knees hurt. It won't work. It's red light, it's not infrared. They'll use their face mask. I'll just put it on my lower back. It'll probably feel good, but it's not really going to work. They're not the same thing at all. It's not. So when people say, "Oh, but it costs so much more, I can pick this one up for a few $100s," and you're talking thousands. But this isn't about luxury or being extravagant. It's about being really accurate with the wavelength. It's about the coverage area and the consistency of output. So what about the power numbers? Because our bed is from platinum. We did a lot, say we, the royal we. Kevin did a lot of research into the different brands, a lot. And I must admit, I can't remember why we chose platinum, but I know there was a very good reason for it. Then you get on there and there's all these different numbers, different options. This is where marketing really muddies the water. You'll see devices advertised as 300 watts or 900 watts, or it'll just say high power. But really, the wattage alone really doesn't tell you anything at all. What matters is the irradiance, the body, the distance from the light, the wavelength accuracy, and the surface area covered. So a quality bed or panel system delivers consistent irradiance at a safe distance across the whole body without overheating the skin. So when you're underneath these panels, you're not hot. There's a bit of heat, but it's not hot. Now, with the beds, the optimal distance, we were told, is 18 inches away from your body. So you compare that with a red light mask and it's touching your skin. You wouldn't do that with the infrared beds, panels. So yes, the light's going to be farther away from the mask. I believe it was 18 inches, but the near infrared penetrates deeply and the distance allows even more exposure. Does that make sense? Than it being super close. So you've got even greater exposure when there's a little bit of difference and you get these systemic effects. The people with using these type of panels are going to have less muscle tension, much deeper sleep. Whoa. Improved mood, as I mentioned, and reduced pain. These are nervous system and mitochondrial effects, not just skin changes. I really don't hurt at all. Now, I put part of that down to I recover really well because of my 5-amino-1-MQ supplement. Definitely my training recovery is really improved, but I really don't get that sore. But I always use this red light. Sorry, I should distinguish. Infrared light. Deeper sleep. Now, sleeping on a night, I probably don't sleep as much. I can. I probably get 7 hours. But I don't really mind because say I get up real early, I'll always be able to find 30 minutes somewhere in the day where I get under the red light. And that just gives me this super deep sleep. I am not the type of person that naps. I think napping is for men. Men seem really good at that. But I lie. I used to nap in my car in LA. But I will fall asleep like a rock under the red light and get out from underneath that. And might as well have slept 4 hours. I had some notes here. So let's go back a little bit and talk about the different delivery systems here. Excuse me. Face masks, skin health, collagen support, acne, if you've got that. If you've had a surgical procedure, the red light will help with that. The limitations, shallow penetration, and local effects only. They're not useless at all. They're just very specific. And don't be using the face masks for things that, they're not intended for. Don't put them on your shoulder because your shoulder hurts. It won't work. Now, the mats that you can actually lie on, so obviously you're close to them because you're lying on them, they usually combine red and near infrared with a little bit of heat. So what the mats are useful for are local pain, achy back, achy hips, joints, but they don't provide the same systemic exposure as the panels or the beds. But I do know people that, I know one of my good friends, that she shows horses and she takes the mat with her, rolls it up and takes it with her. How perfect is that? You're doing I don't know, reining or barrel racing, whatever she does. Super intense. Awesome. Pull that mat out, lie down on that. Amazing for local pain, achy joints and things like that. But it's not going to get to the mitochondrial level. It's not going to give the same systemic exposure. When you get the panels and the actual beds, This is where you're getting full body mitochondrial signaling. This is where you're getting nervous system regulation, muscle recovery, injury recovery, sleep and mood effects. And this is why the athletes, the physical therapy clinics, the recovery centers, they gravitate toward these higher quality panels and bed systems. Yes, they cost a lot more, but it's a completely different modality. And yes, you will still get the skin benefits, etc. Now, as I started, I said that we used it with Cadlin post-surgery. And that was our initial reason for getting one. And red and near-infrared light have been studied for post-surgical wound healing, orthopedic recovery, dental surgery, soft tissue repair. And the studies back it up. Much faster healing, reduced inflammation, less pain. I didn't even mention the pain thing. And improved tissue regulation. So photobiomodulation improves blood flow, improves mitochondrial output and inflammatory signaling, all of which are foundational, right, to recovery after surgery. So I think you'll find in a lot of recovery centers that this is part of it. They offer red light therapy, and there's a good reason for that. So what can you expect? What can you expect? Most people will notice better sleep within a week or two and really great sleep while you're under that thing. Reduced pain and muscle tension, quite remarkable. Like I say, at 58 and I still train really pretty hard, can't say I ever in pain, really. And that didn't used to be the case. I always felt a little bit beat up. Gradual skin improvement, I will testify to that. A subtle but a real mood lift. I didn't know about that. But I noticed consistently when I got off that thing, I just felt great, super good mood. Now, I try to be a happy person anyway, but I love that. Most definitely improved recovery from training. So this is athletes. This is nothing new. It is standard protocol for high-class athletes. But I should say consistency matters more than intensity. Lying under there for 4 hours is not going to do the same thing as doing 15, 20 minutes, 4 or 5 days a week. Think of it more daily mitochondrial hygiene, like you brush your teeth and you do the red light. Every day would be fantastic. In the real world, maybe less, but you do have to be consistent. So the red light therapy isn't hype, but the wavelength does matter. The depth does matter. The device does matter because your goal matters. If you want to get a facial mask for your skin, absolutely. If you want to get a $3,000 bed, then, both are very useful dependent on your goal. There's a bunch of studies on the red light and infrared light therapy. I'm not going to quote them here, but you know what? Because I know some of you might be interested in them. I will put them in the show notes. So those of you that are looking for some of the studies about this, I'll put that in the show notes. But the one that I use that we have is, one second. Sorry for the pause. I just had to pull up a text with the name of ours. I literally send the link for hours. I'm going to guess 5 times a month. People ask me all the time. So this podcast is long overdue. So again, the company is Platinum. I'll put the link in the show notes. And look, there's a lot of choices. If you first go to that website, you'll be like, what the heck do I get? So what we've got the Biomax, and we've got the Biomax multi-light combination. And we have got the 900 by 900. So it's 2 panels. It is going for, price on this thing. Yeah, $2,500. And then the stand is separate. I think that was about $400. But you will find all sorts on this website, on Platinum. Again, I can't remember why we chose this. I can't remember why we chose this company, but I know we did a lot of research, And I'm looking here, and they've got much smaller models for about $500, which would maybe cover a third of your body or something like that. I would stress, if you can, the coverage does matter, but so does the price tag. Appreciated. Anyway, that's it for red light. All right, so I was told today that a little confusion. I had mentioned that I had to push Muscle Month out because I've got to do some traveling, so I won't be here with the gym. But then I guess some scheduled posts went out saying that Muscle Month is starting this week, so sorry about that. Muscle Month is definitely starting on, well, the end of March, and I'm going to say, I haven't put this on the website yet, but I'm going to say it's going to be, because I get back on the 26th, I'm going to say it's going to be on Sunday, March 29th, and will be the first Zoom, and then we will start on March the 30th, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and run through till April the 25th. So Muscle Month, the link is live. You can purchase it whenever you want, but that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the end of March because I just simply have to be here for the whole month when I'm coaching it because I have to have my gym. So hopefully that delay didn't mess anybody up, but it is coming up pretty soon. I do hope you enjoyed this podcast. You can find me all over social. Just search my name, Joanne Lee Cornish, and of course my website, joannelee.com. Be sure to check out what program I have got right now. I'm sure to be running something. And remember, you can always contact me, joanne@joannelee.com. Until next time.